People want to be rich, straight out. I mean, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but everybody's got to find out for themselves. I am in Beijing, China. That's right, China. It's pretty cool here. Let's talk about today what motivates you and drives you to be successful in business. And particularly, this is necessary if you're an entrepreneur, because that's a pretty difficult choice of profession. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to have the correct reasons to be doing this at a financial interest. So, first things first is let's discuss the financial motives behind most businesses. People want to be rich, straight out. I mean, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but everybody's got to find out for themselves. That's the joke of it. So let's discuss why do you want to be wealthy? Now, I understand why you want to have jobs, have financial security. That's obvious. Nobody wants to worry about where their food's going or how they're paying a rent. That's a different level. Once you get past that and you have security and shelter and food, why do you want to be wealthy? What's the reasoning? What will you do with those funds should you obtain them? See, that's a key factor that a lot of people don't really think about. They think, I can get these Yeezy sneakers and a Ferrari and a yacht and an airplane and whatever else people want. See, the thing is like this. There are two levels of wealth in my perspective. Okay, you have being able to buy what you want that's within reason, and then being able to buy that yacht and airplane and whatever else that's completely unreasonable. Now, taking out the unreasonable purchases, because it's like a tiny minority of the world who can afford that, being able to buy what you want doesn't really cost that much if you're smart about how you purchase. In fact, what you'd notice is the people who have the most wealth that is self-made, meaning not inherited or didn't fall in their lap, don't really spring on these huge purchases like Lamborghinis. And the reason for that is Lamborghinis depreciate pretty badly. It's a poor investment. Let me just figure out where I'm going. I'm going to keep going straight. It's a poor investment, a Lamborghini. It's not something you will really want in your investment portfolio. You buy the thing, and every month you're going to drop about $5,000 to $10,000 in depreciation. Now, I drive a real nice BMW 760 V12. It doesn't depreciate because it's an older car. I bought it after the first two owners lost the value. It appreciates, if anything. Well, maybe not appreciates, but a good purchase of a car, not mine, but somebody else's, will appreciate. There are cars that can appreciate in value if you buy smart. Not new, though. See, new will never appreciate. It always depreciates. It loses value. So I got a friend, he really loves Porsche. He just loves them. He doesn't even care what they are. I don't even know if he's ever driven one, to be honest with you. I've driven a few different Porsches, and I think they drive phenomenal, but they're highly impractical vehicles to use as a daily driver. He loves these things, but he can't afford it. Straight up. He cannot afford a brand new Porsche. So what does he do? He's been buying random, normal, everyday cars, Toyotas, Nissans, whatever, Mazda, and has been buying them new for I don't know how many years. And at this point, the amount of depreciation loss on all the new cars he's bought that were regular everyday cars, he could have owned a secondhand Porsche, because the thing is, they don't depreciate. That's a brand that's very solid, does not depreciate. He could have owned that if he would have just settled down and bought a used one instead of needing this new one. So ask yourself, why do you want what you want? Are you doing it because you want it? I'm a driver. I love to drive. I buy it because I want to drive it. I'm not looking to show off. I don't really like the attention I get when I drive fancy cars. I could do without it. But either way, I love to borrow fancy cars. I don't want to own them. Anyway, it is what it is. Teach their own. But ask yourself, why is it that you are seeking this fancy car? I like to drive. I'm doing it for the thrill. I'm not doing it for anybody else. And for that same reason, if you want Yeezy sneakers, you really have, unless you're doing it for the investment of them because you think they'll appreciate. But if you want to actually wear them around, I hear some noise that way. I'm not going that way. It's too noisy that way. Unless you're actually going to wear the Yeezys outside, don't buy that. You're doing it for the wrong reason. If you're doing it for what other people think of you, that's the wrong motivation, and that will impact how you make money in work. Because when you have a business, you have to be motivated for the right reasons. See, real wealthy people who can afford whatever objects they want typically are seeking out new experiences, not new objects. The people who are seeking new objects are those who never actually had them. So the people who are truly wealthy often drive regular cars. I don't, but many other people do. It's a common thing. The key is that you have to recognize you only have a ceiling of objects. Meaning when you reach a certain point, besides the obscene things like airplanes and yachts, and even yachts, actually, I'm going to take that even back. You can buy a 20-year-old boat that was $1 million 20 years ago for like 20 grand. They depreciate like rocks, those things. Seriously, you can buy a beautiful 35-foot yacht, 20 years old, for less than the cost of a new engine on a new yacht. I mean, like, it's crazy. So like, buy things that appreciate and stop trying to worry about what other people think. I've heard people say to me, with my car, hey, you bought an old car, you bought an old car. No, I bought the nicest car made in that year, but it's old now, but it looks perfect. The previous owner took good care of it. I mean, the thing is like this, if you buy smart with things, you almost rent them for free. Seriously, because they've already depreciated or sometimes appreciate. In terms of cars, I buy old cars because wow, look at the little kitten. He's so cute. Sleeping. That's adorable. I buy things that are old because I like nice cars, and I don't like to lose money. I like China is crazy a little bit. I don't like to lose money. I like to get things that are going to save me money, and that's part of how you accumulate wealth. You don't do stupid things like buy objects that depreciate like crazy. Cars is the example I keep using because that has the most depreciation, and people spend enormous amounts of money that is so unnecessary. There is no rational reason anybody who doesn't have excessive disposable wealth needs a car that's going to depreciate $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Okay, that's just not necessary. So it is what it is. Ask yourself why you want the objects that you want. Okay, let's discuss something like a watch. In this day and age, you don't need a watch to tell time. There's no functional reason for a wristwatch. I happen to own a gold Rolex because at one time I liked it. However, it's a classic Rolex. It's about 50 or 60 years old at this point. I don't honestly remember because I don't wear it. I literally have not worn. Oh no, there's noise again. I'm gonna go back the other way. I don't wear it. I honestly have not worn it for anything but like weddings in the past 5 years. Nothing. It's been like 2-3 times a year it comes out of a drawer. It's the most pointless investment object. However, but because it is a classic Rolex as opposed to a new one, there is no depreciation factor. It's actually going to appreciate in value as long as I don't damage the thing. And if I'm only using it 2-3 times a year, it's fine. Now the thing with Rolex is you actually have to bring it to Rolex to re-oil the internals every so many years. They charge you for the re-oiling as much as it is to buy a brand new Movado watch. It's a little insane. So you have a maintenance cost on Rolexes if you take care of them properly. I did it once, honestly, and it's still working. They told me when it's after like 4 or 8 years or something like this, it'll dry up the oils and you gotta do it again. Thankfully it hasn't, but it's an insane cost. It's kind of like a Ferrari. You can get a normal oil change tune-up on a regular car and it doesn't cost very much. On a Ferrari, it's like as much as buying another car. Small car, not another Ferrari. It is what it is. Make sure your motivations are in the right place, because when they are, you really get driven. I mean, look at this. I am in Beijing, China. Look at this. This is an experience to be here. This is not for anyone else. In fact, if I didn't make this video, probably no one even knows what part of the planet I'm on right now. I'm doing it because this is incredible. I want to live this. I want to experience this, because you can only have so many objects and then you reach your saturation point. And that doesn't drive you anymore, because once you have them, that's it. And unless you're that kind of person who really wants a big yacht that's new. I don't know why you want that though. I don't get it. I get why, because I think back of my youth, like as a teenager, and of course everyone wants those things as a teenager. But then when reality hits, you realize, What am I going to do on that yacht? See, I'm seeking out life experiences. I'm not seeking out objects. What I want is a whole party of friends on that yacht with me. Oh, wait a minute. I don't need the yacht for that. I need to get the group of friends together and just hang out. You don't need to be on a yacht. You could charter one for a day and or evening or whatever. Rent one for a few hours. But I mean, you just don't need that. There's no real reason. It just doesn't make sense that anyone should have these obscene needs. Now, let's assume we're not talking about obscene needs. We're just talking about things like nice car, nice house, nice all that stuff. All right, that's all good, but make sure you buy smart. Because if you buy smart, these things actually don't cost that much. In fact, most people who are earning a low to middle income probably spend more money, burn more money every month than I do. Look at living like this, traveling around the world, enjoying life, having a fancy BMW and all these things, apartment in Manhattan. It doesn't cost that much. It really doesn't in the grand scheme of things if you buy smart. That's the key. You try to buy things that have a value that you can resell. What I buy, I can resell. That's the whole point. Most of the time, obviously you burn money, and no matter what you do, you go places, there's a cost to it. Every time I land in a new city, someone's gonna rip me off sooner or later. It happens, it's part of the learning experience. The idea is to keep it limited. I don't like hotels, I like Airbnb. I think that's part of the experience of staying in someone's home or at least in a private setting. Wow, that is unnerving every time they drive right past you like that. But either way, I like this experience. I like the real street experience. I don't like to do touristy things either, for that matter. So every person's different. Some people want to get on a tour bus and just let them be shown around. That's fine, but that costs money. That costs a lot more money. See, I got another friend of mine. He came into money. He didn't earn it. He inherited it. And now, as soon as he got that money, he started flying around the world first class. Every trip he took, first class, first class. And I'm saying to myself, first class or business class, whatever it is, it's roughly 2 to 3x the cost of your flight. Why not just fly twice or 3 times to different places for that same money? I don't get that. So to me, I'm a really big dude relative to the average person's size. I don't mind sitting in a regular what do you call it, the peasant class, whatever the normal seats are called. By the way, look at that car. It's made in China. It's really neat looking. I don't mind sitting in the regular class if that means I can fly more often and go to different places. It really doesn't cost that much to travel. Now, the key is that stops most people from traveling is not only the expense, but being able to take off of work. See, that's the thing. I love the life of an entrepreneur. It drives me because I make my own schedule. I do what I want when I want. For the most part, you have meetings, you have things that are scheduled, but for the most part, I could go and come as I please. This is what drives me. It's important to have that strong motivation because that makes you really motivated to succeed as a businessman. It's like, wow, you can do this. I can spend my Monday here in Beijing, China, and other people are on a 9 to 5. Like, to me, that's the most incredible motivation in the world. I don't need to have stronger motivation than that. What I need is to enjoy this lifestyle. This is amazing. I mean, this is something you don't see. You can watch this stuff on television, but you don't know what it smells like right here next to whatever in the world these plants are. They smell good. You can't feel that through a TV screen or through the internet. You can't experience what it's like to struggle with language barriers. China, they don't speak any English, almost anyone, even unless you're in a hotel or something. Like, really, you can't experience that without actually doing it. It's an incredible experience. But man, it's so much fun. And that's what motivates me. I mean, that's just totally driving me. So I don't quite get why everyone needs objects beyond a certain limit. Like, are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for someone else? Ask yourself that. Make sure you're doing it for the right reason. Holy cow, I don't know where I went, but that is a little bit of a creepy street. I ain't walking down that. That's like compound. I don't know, like a prison compound looking thing. I'm gonna just keep going back that way. All right. So anyway, the whole idea is you have to be driven. You have to know what you want. Lots of people have one good motivation, and that is they do it for their family, for their kids, for this, for that, for the future. However, that only goes so far, because everyone can do that and you can work a regular job for that. You don't need this lifestyle. This is a hard lifestyle. Entrepreneurship is not easy until you make it. Until you make it, it's really hard. You don't know where that paycheck's coming from. One of my close friends always says to me, he works a regular job in a regular 9 to 5, and he always says to me, I want to know where my money's coming. I don't want to think that next week I'll have a bad week and there's no money coming in. And he's right. You know what? For his situation and his lifestyle, that works for him. That's fine. But at the same time, what you don't do today means what you put into today is to make sure you have for tomorrow. See, he needs to keep working for the rest of his life. And that's something that I don't have that. I don't want that. I want to be able to make enough that I don't need to do that, and that the money starts flowing on its own. That's a key motivator. Knowing that you're not going to have to retire from a job and take pension in order to survive. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not the entrepreneurial mindset. It is the mindset of an employee. Holy cow, there's cars going down this tiny street. That is the mindset of an employee. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the entrepreneurial mindset. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to have these strong motivations, these wills to really make a lot of money, be financially secure, make your own schedule, do what you want in life, live life to the fullest. Don't be afraid of nothing. It's key. It's very, very key. Now, let's just talk about one last thing here. Branding. Okay, I mentioned before Rolex. Rolex is a solid brand. Here, we're walking by a Tesla while we're talking about branding. Whoa. Rolex is a solid brand. You can always resell that a Rolex. Always. They may not always appreciate in value, but they're certainly not going to be worthless. Whoa. Okay. Other brands. Holy cow. This is a motorcycle that looks like a smart car. They literally took a motorcycle, and put a body over it that looks like a smart car with a BMW grill. That's pretty wild. Okay, yeah. All right, so I just totally sidetracked myself. Brands, right, okay. Some brands are worth a lot more than others and depreciate more. Maserati is a good example of a car that really doesn't hold its value. You buy these things and nobody wants them again. They're not that amazing to drive. They're not really that good of a car, but people buy them because they want to say they have a Maserati. Really? It doesn't make sense. They're not that fancy inside. They're not that fast compared to other fast cars. They're very fast, but not compared to other fast cars. They make a lot of noise, but you could make a Honda Civic, put a big exhaust on it, it'll make noise too. So you have to ask yourself, why are you buying these things? Whenever I see when a brand new Maserati, it's expensive and stuff like this, I always ask, why'd you buy that car? Why that car? It's not that nice. It looks kind of like a big old Buick to me. I just don't get it. I mean, everyone's got their own opinion of what looks nice, what doesn't. I know that. But the thing is, some cars will completely hold their value. Porsche is a great brand for that. They really, oh my God, the wind is blowing. Let me go this way. Porsche is a great brand. They really hold their value. Although you can get old ones for lower money. Different brands, I mean, different tactics for buying smart are available to you. You just have to utilize them. Don't be the kind of person who drops a few bills and says, oh my God, look at this fancy car I got, this fancy watch, whatever it is. To summarize, I want to just mention something I saw on Facebook. There was a survey that went on that I saw on Facebook. Had a lot of responses, like 1 million people responded or something. It said, would you rather have $1 million or a trip around the world? Literally 80% of the respondents said a trip around the world. Seriously? Instead of $1 million. Here's a thought. Take the $1 million, stick it in the bank, use the interest that the bank will pay you on $1 million, which is somewhere around $30,000 to $50,000 a year, and travel all you want. Otherwise, you still have to come back to a job after your world trip is over. I mean, really, $30,000 to $50,000. Someone gave you $1 million, just shove it in a bank account if you want to be completely safe with it, and it will earn you $30,000 to $50,000 every single year. You don't need to work ever again if you live like a normal person with a normal quantity of expenses. So, I mean, it's perplexing to me how many people don't get finances, and that's the reality of the world. So it's important that if you are going to become an entrepreneur, run a business, do all these things, you got to think through the financial aspects of this stuff. It's so important. All right, I'm about out of wind here. This place is so amazingly cool. All right, signing off from Beijing, China. Please like this video, subscribe, do all the great things, share it whether you like it or not. Just send it out to everybody so they can see the incredible Beijing, China. All right, see you in the next video.
Yeah!